But leading all the way up to May, this is where I started to, a lot of the red flags started to show up, and I was really changed my heart on, or I had a change of tune as far as Moderna was concerned. So Moderna stock, they came out with incredible news today. So does that mean that it's worth investing in at this point? Or did you miss the boat? Is it too late to get in? I'm going to let you know exactly what I think about Moderna leading up into this incredible news that we heard from them as far as the coronavirus vaccine is concerned. But first, I want to welcome you to this channel. Hi, welcome. My name is Brad. This is Own the Chaos. The stock market is crazy and chaotic. I've made it my mission, along with my partner, Fat Man Zoom, to help you own it. So if you guys want to learn more about investing and trading in the stock market in general, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up to support this channel, and I certainly would appreciate it. All right, so getting into Moderna, they came out with news today about the coronavirus vaccine and being 95% effective. 94.5 to be exact is the efficacy of their new vaccine. And so we're pending approval as far as distribution's concerned. They think that they can get about 750 million vaccines administered or distributed by the end of 2021. And so we are starting to see some really good positive news come out of this. This is actually really great news for Moderna. It's great news for the world. And I don't want to take anything away from that. But as an investor, does it make sense for you to actually invest in Moderna? Well, to really paint a picture here, I wanted to break down a timeline of events that's gone on with Moderna since they started getting into developing a vaccine for the Rona. All right, so I want to bring you to my favorite platform to kind of show you this timeline of events real quick, and it is Webull. If you guys are interested in opening a new account and getting some free stocks out of the deal, click the link in the description below. You get, if you open an account with $100 or more, you'll get free stock from a Webull valued up to $1,600, which is pretty sweet, and it helps support the channel too. So if you guys want to do that, certainly would appreciate it. But I'm bringing you over to Webull to kind of show you the chain of events that's gone on with Moderna. And if you're thinking to yourself that you missed the boat on this thing, well, this might be of some comfort to you. Now, look, Moderna is doing some incredible things. Their technology is actually really awesome, but the way that they've been running their company and the way that they handle shares and their share structure of the company, there's a lot of fishiness going on as far as that's concerned. And this is what gives me a little bit of anxiety, kind of makes me a little bit nervous about this whole thing and how the company is actually managing the share structure, their own shares, what they have invested in, and really kind of genuinely, do they care about their investors? And for me, I just have a lot of questions here. So if we look at the beginning or the end of February, I should say, that's when they actually released they put out a press release that said they were releasing their first batch of the phase 1 study of the coronavirus. And you can see that it actually shot up all the way up to $35, almost $36 a share after being all the way down here at $19.52. So an incredible move after this one. But then, you know, they had an actual $500 million in shares of common stock just a week before. So they were able to dump into this event, which, you know, it is what it is. It's typical of biotech companies. And so you didn't really think too much of it, to be honest with you, at that point in time. It was just, it's regular run of the mill. Moderna wasn't really on anybody's radar as far as making a really nice run at creating a vaccine for coronavirus. And honestly, at the end of February, I'm not sure anybody really saw this as much of a big deal as we do now. So we have the offering that happened 2 weeks before this, but then 3 days later, they came out with an offering of nearly 17 million shares for their employees, and then tanked the stock from that $36 level all the way back down to around $18 a share at the lows. And then you come here about a month later, around April 17th, they were awarded a bunch of money from the US government, almost $500 million. Actually, I think it was over $500 million to be exact. And so we're looking at this and we're saying to ourselves, okay, so Moderna is actually going to be on the map here. The government feels confident in them. We're going to start to see some real moves out of Moderna. And this is actually when I started talking about it on my channel really heavily. I actually spoke about this at the end of February. I said Moderna could be one that we really want to focus on as far as the coronavirus is concerned and their vaccine attempts to create one rather quickly. I really did believe in Moderna at this point in time. I thought this was going to be a good trade. Turns out it actually was. But leading all the way up to May, this is where I started to, a lot of the red flags started to show up, and I was really changed my heart on, or I had a change of tune as far as Moderna was concerned. And I'm curious as to what you guys think about this event here as well. So leave me some comments down below, because I want to get some people's judgment on this. You know, if you're a defender of Moderna, if you're an investor in them and you think that now's still a good time to buy, why do you feel that way, especially after I'm laying these turn of events out to you? So on May 18th, actually, I should say May 15th is really when this started to gap up. So on May 15th, Dr. Moncef Slaoui was appointed to Operation Warp Speed, and that's what actually started to create this nice little decent gap up on Moderna. We started to see some really good momentum with this stock. I was even feeling good about it. And then they announced positive interim phase 1 data for its mRNA vaccine, which we now know as the coronavirus. And this went off, right? Went all the way up to nearly $90 a share, gapped up from 65 to 91. At this point, it's gone from the teens, now sitting at $90 a share. And then on this very same day, after announcing these phase 1 trial news, and after their CFO sold $34 million worth of shares, they come out with a offering of 17 million shares of common stock valued at $1.34 billion. Now, offerings are never really good. Investors don't like offerings at all, but they're necessary, especially in the biotech field, because right now, especially in Moderna's case, they have never put a drug to market. And so they're still trying to raise capital and that sort of thing. They have the support of the federal government at this point, but they still are selling shares at a rapid rate. And this is also the CEO, the CFO. It's not just the CFO that's been selling. Any of these C-level executives have been selling this stock like crazy at this point, and they're selling it even to this day. And we'll get into what I think might happen after hours today too, as I'm recording this on the day of the announcement of their 95% of efficacy. So we'll see how that plays out. But looking at this, it's just, there was a lot of red flags here. So there's insider buying and selling versus insider trading. And to me, this felt a lot like insider trading. Now, they did everything by the book. They did everything legally as far as selling shares from the CFO's standpoint. I mean, I don't know how you're the CFO and you don't know this event's going to be announced on that day. So then you decide to sell $34 million worth of shares. But that's what happened. And it actually ended up tanking the stock from $86 all the way down to $46. So it lost 50% from its highs off of that offering, off of the selling of shares. Investors were pissed. Then we come here to July of 2020. July 17th, Moderna announced the publication of the New England Journal of Medicine interim results from phase 1 study of its mRNA vaccine against COVID. And if you look at the Form 4s on this particular date, the CEO then sold thousands of shares into that event as well. The stock continued to get diluted because of all those, all of that $1 billion, $1.5 billion offering announced earlier in May, and then it went all the way up to $95, $94, $96 a share, came all the way back down and almost lost 50% of that. Came down to $54 a share. So this has just been a run-of-the-mill routine pattern that we are seeing out of Moderna. And leading up to today, they came out with their 95% efficacy rate, which is better than what Pfizer came out with. And I will say, I actually prefer the way that they've been doing things as far as coming up with this vaccine. So there's a lot of good things that I actually like about Moderna's announcement of this vaccine. I think, you know, personally, that the fact that they were able to create a vaccine that has 90% or 95% efficacy, and they can keep it in refrigerators versus Pfizer has to have theirs at like negative 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is absolutely insane. You need a special fridge just to keep their vaccine stored properly, whereas Moderna's can survive about 30 days sitting in a refrigerator, which is a regular old refrigerator. So that'll be really, really nice and easy for distribution, all that good stuff. But I'm willing to bet that we see a Form 4. Now, I could look like a really big idiot at this point, because as of this recording, we got another 2 hours before the stock market closes. But now that we have seen a huge move out of Moderna, and we go back to the chart here, we see a huge move out of Moderna. It went up as high as 15, almost 20%, gapped up from $90.58 to $100.50. And we look at the pre-market action as well, you can see that pre-market, it went up as high as $106 just about. So it was up almost 20% pre-market, has now since sold off. I wonder if these shares that are selling off are actual retail investors, or if perhaps they are officers of Moderna. Maybe we even see an offering after here. And so here's my answer as far as whether or not, if I probably wasn't already clear about this getting into this video, or as I was talking here, you probably already know my opinions on this. I'm not saying that Moderna is something that we should not be celebrating, especially with the advancements in this vaccine. I think it's incredible, but I'm not so sure how I feel about the company and the way that it's ran and the way that it treats its investors. So this, to me, when I look at this, it just reminds me of that typical biotech type penny stock where you see an event and then it runs several 100%. And then lo and behold, after market closes, we see a giant offering. The stock goes right back to where it was. And then it's just business as usual after that. Everybody who bought up high gets screwed. They're holding a bag now for God knows how long. And so that's kind of how I feel about Moderna. Really, in a sense, Moderna has gone all the way up to $50 a share, has had these spikes. Then you see how that executives are dumping down into this thing and it comes right back down to that level. I hate to say that I could see this happening again, but I could see this happening again. I mean, show me something where we haven't seen this in this stock before, and then I might start to change my tune. But as of, what have you done for me lately? Over the last 6 months, Moderna has just done this repeatedly where they put out some PR that, prompts a really big, a really nice move. And then they just squash it because their executives, their employees, whomever is really making all the money, while the rest of us, anybody who's invested in this thing, gets screwed in the end. So I hope that nobody actually bought this over $100 a share. It could go off still, could keep running. I hope it does if you bought this over $100. Even if you bought this into the $90 share range, I would be really hesitant holding on to this for any length of time because you just don't know when the next offering or the dumpathon from executives is going to happen. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, am I totally wrong here? I guess maybe we'll find out after hours what kind of Form 4s we'll see. And when this gets released, I'm sure we'll be able to comment on it. But let me know what you think down below. I just don't think that, for me personally, this is worth the risk. The reward is very high, but I think it's very short-lived. I don't know if this is going to be something that would be worth or that would be sustainable to invest in, is what I'm saying. So if you want to play the quick pops here and there, if you made money on this thing, great, but I don't know if I would stay in it for too much longer because you just don't know with Moderna. The risk here is very real. For me personally, I like Johnson & Johnson as a company. They have one of the best balance sheets in America. And I think that if they have a material event, let's just say they come out with an efficacy that's higher than 95%, you can go into Johnson & Johnson with good conscience, knowing that you're not going to see a crazy dumpathon from executives. You're not going to see any kind of offering come out of them, more than likely, because they got money on the books. They don't need it. They've already had products out there that they are making tons of money on, so they don't need to raise additional capital when it comes to a secondary offering. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below about this. Are you invested in Moderna? Do you think it's worth holding on to? Why or why not? And guys, we'll be going live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So subscribe and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live. Also, if you want to be part of the Chaos Crew, make sure you're hitting the join button next to subscribe. The link's in the description as well. For $4.99 a month, you get a daily watch list from us, as well as access to our public portfolio, which, by the way, is beating the market very handily. We are very happy about that. And that's going to do it for me, guys. As always, I'll see you all before the bell. And B Smith is out.